First breakdown of 2025, the year of the project. The breakdown starts now. We didn't replace Rick. We're here with Michael Steele. Rick is under the weather. Michael, welcome.
Hey, what's up? But I brought the bald head just in case, I just wanted to make sure we had it all right. Yeah, I'm happy to be with you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone who's, living live with us for the moment. And to my man, Rick, what's up, baby? I'm holding.
Feel better soon?
Be back soon.
Yes, it is a happy new year, as I like to say now. I'm in LA and the air quality is terrible. The fires are still raging. I know you're on the East Coast where you're going to have your own kind of crazy in a few days.
We will, but first, for you and your fellow Californians, just let you know we're thinking about you, folks. Red Cross, please provide some help there and support for those out there, the firefighters and those on the front lines. It's we have a big national event coming up on Monday with the inauguration of a new president who doesn't see your state as part of the United States, at least not in terms of, what's happening there, that it's just an opportunity to own the libs and go after the governor and the mayor of Los Angeles. But they're real people who've lost a lot and are losing a lot. And so the rest of us Americans who do care, just want to let you know that our prayers and thoughts are with you and encouraging those to support those efforts to provide resources to get this fire under control.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that support came without conditions. It's unconditional support coming from Michael Steele. So thank you for that, because as you all know, apparently they would like conditions.
This is why I love her. And that knife is subtle. The slash is smooth. So yeah, that's why I love her.
I mean, I got to get those digs in there because it's very real right now, because everybody on the ground is coming together, but everybody is in crisis mode. And as I was saying before the show, like, we're dealing with very present danger and then also having to keep one eye on the incoming danger. And it's on full display. And actually we have a clip of the conditioning of the aid. So let's look at that asshole.
I think we've got to have a serious conversation about that. Obviously there's been water resource mismanagement, forest management mistakes, all sorts of problems. And it does come down to leadership, and it appears to us that state and local leaders were derelict in their duty in many respects. So that's something that has to be factored in. I think there should probably be conditions on that aid. That's my personal view. We'll see what the consensus is. I haven't had a chance to socialize that with any of the members over the weekend because we've all been very busy, but it'll be part of the discussion for sure.
What about the debt limit increase? What about tying the debt limit increase to it?
There's some discussion about that, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
What do you make of the language he's using there? Because when he says dereliction of duty, I'm like, okay, there's a play that's happening, I feel, trying to put this on the Democrat who are running the state.
Look, they want to make a partisan argument to justify their actions or inactions. So let's understand what our baseline is here that we're talking about. If Speaker Johnson's neighborhood was on fire, the last thing he'd be talking about right now would be conditions on any type of aid or support coming from a Democratic administration. Okay. And his expectation as a member of Congress would be that the federal response would be equal to, if not surpass, the federal response in other crises. So to sit here and play this bullshit game of conditioning, there will be no conditions on this aid. There will be a lot of noise and a lot of hooey about it. But at the end of the day, Californians are hurting. And guess what, Speaker Johnson? Republicans are hurting. Californians who are Republicans are in the burn zone, right? Are in the fire zone. So you go tell them you want to condition their aid because they live in a democratic state. That's the stupidity that I think the rest of us have to put an end to. We can no longer countenance this. This is no longer what may happen, Project 2025, oh, it's not real. We are in the zone now. And this is just one, I think, example, Maya, of many to come, starting at 12:01 on Monday, that will place this country in a very, I think, perilous place. Because if we allow leaders, and I use that word so loosely,
yes, please do,
so loosely, to sound like that, then that's on us. When someone dies or someone is injured or this thing gets worse, that's on us because we allow it without any response, without any accountability being assessed. So I soundbite, great. Donald Trump loved it. That's my boy.
That's who they've got to please.
You're doing well. Keep it going. Meanwhile, people in California are hurting. And so when we get into the summer and we get into the fall and we get to hurricane season and we get to the weather that impacts the country, in particularly in red states, when tornadoes and hurricanes start this year, I want to hear how much conditioning conversation Speaker Johnson and Republicans are going to be leveling up.
Yeah. I mean, they say it because they think they can get away with it, but I also hate the callousness of wrapping it up in a fiscal argument. Like, this is about mismanagement, And so it makes it sound reasonable, perhaps, to Republicans who are in the state. I wonder when people look up from having to fill out their insurance paperwork, or even if they don't actually have insurance because that got canceled in many cases in the Pacific Palisades. I'm wondering what they're going to think about those comments then. And so I'm hoping people see through it. That's my hope, because otherwise we're in for a very difficult.
Well, you got to wake up first to see through it, Maya. You got to wake up first. Seriously, there are a lot of Americans, right? I don't get us at the moment. I really don't. I just don't understand what we think we're doing and how we think allowing this putrid politics and these even more putrid politicians to sort of dictate the terms of how we help our neighbor during a recovery. The lies about FEMA. Oh, there's no money left. Or you gotta do this. You gotta go and take your dog and sacrifice it on a hill before FEMA will give you some money. I mean, and people are sitting there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe we have to do that." Well, no, that's not how it works. So I don't know why we are so gullible and so. I mean, does the price of eggs bother your ass that much?
You know what I mean? That's I haven't heard Trump mention groceries, by the way, except for that one statement. The one statement about like, oh, maybe once the prices are up, it's hard to get them back down. And that's it. Other than that, it's been like, Hollywood ambassadors and everything else. And I'm like, okay, I'm hoping people will pay attention to the fact that the grocery bill is the same and possibly going to go up, and then maybe tie the two things together. When you ask, like, what's wrong with us? People have no understanding of cause and effect anymore. Like in this it's just like, I just want to be like, action, consequence, action, consequence. But how are people going to tie action to consequence when you can storm the Capitol and then have the idea of pardons being floated, when you can deny the results of a free and fair election and then get reelected? I'm like, you don't like elections. How are you all of a sudden running for office if you don't believe in democracy in the first damn place? So when you ask what's wrong with people, everything right now, I'm very frustrated, Michael, as I'm sure you can tell.
I am too.
Right? It feels like we're always a step behind what we should be saying. And so, Joe Biden warned us of oligarchy in his farewell address. And I'm like, well, maybe somebody could have said that before. I don't know. We have the clip. Let's
listen to the president a little bit.
Yeah.
Put up a warning flare.
Yeah.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. And this is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before. More than a century ago, but the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy. They just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to.
Yeah.
Everybody had to look up oligarchy. Apparently, it jumped the number of people searching oligarchy, and I'm like, rich people running shit. That's all you need to know. Rich people.
Great education level out here. I know. Look, it just you got to look up oligarchy. You got to look up a lot of the terms that are foreign to our republic, because we've never behaved that way. And to the extent that the robber barons tried to emerge as the country turned into the new century and technology, here we go. Technology began to advance the civilization, and there was money in the Bar Hills, and you could go out and do a lot of things that you couldn't before. All of a sudden, the refrigerator, folks, was technology in 1920. It was new technology. The telephone and all of these things that, today are just like, what? Basic stuff. Those things sort of drove the marketplace, and a lot of people made a lot of wealth, real estate opportunities. So there was this emerging class of very wealthy people. You know them, the Rockefellers and the Kennedys. Mm-hmm. Et cetera. But the country
they supply things that were good for us. Like, I'm not worried about my refrigerator turning on me. I'm not worried.
Right. But there was that piece. There was that piece of it. But the backside of this good thing that they provided was the wealth that was being concentrated in the hands of very few people. And so, the country, as the president rightly said, the country didn't punish the American people. It dealt with the people who were concentrating the power and the wealth in a very, very small space. So here we are again. We have X number of billionaires, which are a very, very small percentage of the American people, certainly the middle class. And they are controlling. They have access you don't have. They have the ear of the Oval Office. You don't have that. You don't. You think you do. They want you to pretend you do, but you don't. Because if you did, then the stuff we see being leveled up right now just wouldn't happen. Unless, of course, that's what you want. If that's what you want. So.
And this is the thing. People did come together for a quick second, Luigi. And there was
that knife. Y'all better check yourself, because you bleeding somewhere. Trust me, you bleeding somewhere. You better check.
There was a
You could pass out right in the middle of your meal, and you don't know why.
as long as I say it and I smile while I'm saying it, like that's, I've figured out, and Michael, in my many years, I figured out as long as I just smile when I say it, I can say it, you know? And everyone's like, wait, what did she just say? That was dark. And I'm like, yeah. But people, you know, there is a shared and common interest in being able to have access to things like health insurance or insurance for one's home, regardless of whether they live in a fire zone or a flood zone. And so there was a moment.
Maya, the incoming health secretary wants to eliminate those protections that, for example, in the space of health insurance, you're going to now need health insurance for childhood diseases that we haven't had to worry about for 70 years. So
what are you talking about? We're going to do breath work and meditation, and we're going to make those diseases go away with our minds and with healthy food.
Polio worked that way. That's right.
Yeah.
If you breathe, if I breathe with my iron lung, I'm good.
We're just going to be carting around tiny, because then probably Elon Musk will come up with a way to monetize these little tiny iron lungs that we can, like, I don't know, just
every
drag
Tesla
along with
will
us.
be equipped with a little little lung capacity machine in the trunk with a tube that comes up that goes around your nose, so you can breathe on your way to grandma's house. So
welcome to the new world.
So, you know,
oh my God.
I love the fact that the president said what he said about oligarchy, but he also told us it's our responsibility, right, to stand guard and to pay attention, which we seemingly have not done a good job at. But I guess we should be reminded of that.
Yeah, we are trying, and let's have Joe himself remind us. Let's play that.
After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. A nation where the strength of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard. May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all. And may God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
It was probably one of the most poignant endings and moments in all of it. I mean, he said a lot of good things in the speech, but I thought that was almost like not so much passing the baton, but sort of pressing the point that you still have this, America. This is yours, you know, and you don't have to go down this road. You don't have to be indifferent to what's happening to your fellow American in California, or what's happening to your neighbor's kid who's going through issues, either mental or health or whatever. You don't have to be indifferent to your neighbor. And so it's the standing guard portion for me was not just guarding against the oligarchs and guarding against fascism and guarding against, you know, Donald Trump and MAGA, but it was also, I think, sort of guarding against, what's the word I want? Guarding against
complacency, guarding against.
Thank you. Laziness, complacency, selfishness, buying the hype that, you know, everybody's against you. Because I really like to know who they are. I'd like to know how that's manifested in your life. You know, you didn't get the job, or you didn't get the contract. Okay, now you're gonna hold that against every person you see. You're gonna hold that against the American experience. No, that experience tells you Okay, take a moment on the floor. We get it. Take a moment.
Mhm.
Take that moment. Get the head together to pick yourself up and go back to the next game. But, and here's why what's happening next is so important, which is what you got to guard against. That idea of picking yourself up and making it better is an important feature of this country. But when you have individuals who won't allow you to do that because they want to strip away those rungs of the ladder that would aid you in that effort, those corridors, access to those corridors that you could go down to learn from others and develop different skills. When that's taken away from you, you can't pick yourself up off the floor as easily. And so this assault on DEI, I mean, fine, you don't like diversity, you don't like the idea of equality, right? You know, you don't like the idea that an individual company or community or a country wants to look at itself and its citizens and say, how can we aid in your journey towards the American dream? And it's not there at the expense of someone else. Why do we think this way? I don't know.
Well, because of fear, right? And so everybody all of a sudden in times, it's interesting to me is it's always stronger together right after a crisis, because that's when everybody realizes we have to work together because there's imminent danger. And so nobody cares, where you come from, what your background is. They care, are you capable and can you do it and can we help, right? Nobody's trying to blame anybody. Everybody's just trying to get things done. That's what's been happening here in California. What I'm concerned about is this underlying assumption and all of this rhetoric, all this anti-DEI stuff, is that somehow I'm supposed to think, so all of the leaders are white men because they're the most capable? Is that what they're telling me?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm being told? Because I've been watching the hearings, and
I don't know white men who are so capable.
Like, I want to talk about the hearings. Let's hop to that really quickly.
You open the door again. That knife, you just cut that door wide open. Let's do it, girl. Let's go.
We got to talk about Hegseth, where it's bad and then it just gets worse. I don't know where to go with it, but let's roll Tim Kaine questioning Hegseth.
But you acknowledge that you cheated on your wife and that you cheated on the woman by whom you had just fathered a child. You have admitted that.
I will allow your words to speak for themselves.
You're not retracting that today. That's good. I assume that in each of your weddings, you've pledged to be faithful to your wife. You've taken an oath to do that, haven't you?
Senator, as I've acknowledged to everyone in this committee, not a perfect person, not claiming to be.
But no, I just asked the simple question. You've taken an oath like you would take an oath to be Secretary of Defense in all of your weddings to be faithful to your wife. Is that correct?
I have failed in things in my life, and thankfully I'm redeemed by my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
In finalizing divorce.
What does the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ have to do with anything right now?
Absolutely, Jack. Jesus is sitting there and going, what the hell are you bringing my name up for? I got a 20 job. What the hell I got to do? I wrote down, there were 10 things I wrote down many years ago, and I just put them out. There were 10 little things, and one was thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and thou shalt not commit adultery. And you decided you wanted to do that. Now you want to bring me up? I have nothing to do. Jesus looking at him like, fool, please.
I know.
That's the go-to. Let me just wrap myself in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't wrapping yourself in the Bible when you were wrapping your arms around a woman who wasn't your wife.
Thank you.
Were you?
Multiple times.
Where was the Bible then? What passion were you? Was it your passion for Jesus or your passion for the woman that drove that moment? Because if you had the passion for your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, your ass wouldn't have been in another woman's bed. That's simple. It's not complicated. And don't play us for stupid and throw up Christianity to save your lazy, sorry ass. You cheating bastard. And now you couldn't even sit in front of the committee hearing. And when asked a direct question about the oath you made to not one, but 2 women, right? And you can't even say, you know, yeah, I did. I took that oath and I failed in that. That's, be honest on the first tip. And then you can come back around and say, yes, I did. I broke that pledge. And I know, Senator, you're about to ask me, well, what makes you think I won't break my oath of office here? And then make your case. But you can't do that because you're not serious. You're full of shit. That's your problem. And so, I'm sorry, the Hegseth hearing, and then there was, oh, what's her name? Oh, yeah, that one drove me a little nuts. So I know Bondi. Yes, by the time we get from Hegseth to Bondi and we start dancing with Kash Patel.
Oh God, no, I don't.
Oh my Lord. But yeah, I have a real problem, as you can see, with people who use their Christianity to somehow make us believe that all of a sudden, and look, we Christians, we believe the sinner should be forgiven. And I'm sure that he's worked that out. But please don't play me in a hearing like that. And please don't sit there and act like that, you know, that sanitizes all the other bullshit that you're about to do. Because it just, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, but I feel you on that. Because like he's a man of God, but not a man of his word. And this role is about being a man of his word. So that's what it needs to be about. And so when we talk about DEI hires and his best qualification, truly, I mean, he's like a, you know, dirt on my boots and Fox News host. I'm like, okay, so, and you know, he lacks the basic qualifications. He lacks the basic knowledge. And that was called out in the hearing as well, because he couldn't name any of the nations in ASEAN. I can't either, but I'm not trying to be the Secretary of Defense. Okay. Like,
I love it. I struggle with this because it is symptomatic of larger problems. And every time the Democrats, who I thought were fairly ineffective in their strategy in this hearing, would level up their charge, you get some Republican senator going, oh, let me enter into a record a letter from, you know, Santa Claus saying how good he was. And then the next, I have another letter from the Easter Bunny that did bring him chocolate on Easter Sunday that he shared with his Lord and Savior. So that's good. You know, you just get to a point, Maya, where you realize that everyone in that room listening to his bullshit has a responsibility, one, to call it out in the moment. And I thought Tim Kaine got close, and some others did a little bit to get close. And this is why when I think back on 2006, which was a turning point for a whole lot of reasons, if I'd won that U.S. Senate race in Maryland and I'm sitting on that desk, because that probably been one of the committees I would want to be on, I would have stopped him and said, you know what, can someone call the janitorial service and have them come and clean up the shit that I see on the floor in front of me?
And it needed to be said like that.
It needed to be said. It needed to be said. That's why I love Jasmine Crockett. Because Jasmine Crockett sits in hearings and she goes, okay, time out. Bitch, please. Really?
Yeah, she cuts to the chase. She cuts through the bullshit. Yep.
She cuts through it. And we need more of that. See, it's how you level up the game. I had this conversation on a couple of shows the last few days on MSNBC, and I'm sure we'll have it again this weekend on the weekend. But Democrats have to learn to level their game up. You know, they just have to level their game up. You cannot run and act and move as if your opponent is Tip O'Neill,
right,
or Jim Wright, or some, bygone Democrat who appreciated being in that Capitol building, who appreciated being in that hearing room and the role that they play as a member of that body, and respected the responsibility that came with that, to the extent that they wouldn't allow that. That would not even happen. Republican senators, if Ronald Reagan or even Richard Nixon put somebody in front of them like Pete Hegseth, the phone call would have been made and said, you know what, Mr. President-elect, we appreciate you. We love you. Glad you won. But don't send that name up, because it ain't happening.
All right.
And the president would have said, okay, who do you want? Well, your choice, but don't send us people like that. That's what's missing. I don't understand. I mean, and I thought John Thune, and I remember John Thune from when he first got to the U.S. Senate. I've known him a long time. I have mad respect for him. And I have hope that he will not play this game that way. But his charge to his committee, to the committees that Republicans chair, they're all on the same page. They got the song sheet and they're singing every note. There's no hope here. I don't know where they think we're going to go.
I mean, I think that's that complacency that we're trying to avoid, because and I think it's harder for the average citizen, the average person who's watching these hearings, to go, okay, I'm going to carry the torch. I'm going to help fight back, when we're watching these hearings and we're going, you knew these hearings were coming.
Right. There wasn't a surprise. There was no surprise here.
They were scheduled.
It got scheduled. And just for the record, so we all know the Asian countries are Brunei, Dar es Salaam, so I can never pronounce that, Burma, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be able to name a single one of those. Yeah,
only thing he knew was Australia, Japan.
I think he made it to Japan. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
He
was
Asian.
And that's the thing. I don't know what's worse, that or the fact that Pam Bondi can't admit that the election wasn't stolen, that Donald Trump didn't win the election.
And she's going to be the chief law enforcement officer of the country.
Like that's the part where I feel that rage bubbling up in me that makes me have to go to boxing every day, because I'm like, you literally, it's one job. She's got one job, like the law, enforcing and respecting the law, one law, and you can't even, the one thing that it just is wild to me.
But then that moment with Ted Cruz in the hearing, where they're like completing each other's the pre-programmed responses. Talking about Donald Trump winning, and she's up there, yes, 77 million Americans. I'm like, you're going to be in a job that is not a wholly owned subsidiary of the executive branch. You're supposed to be, and yet you get appointed by the president. And I think there should be three not statewide races, or, that we have. Well, two. The presidency and attorney general, because it's the only way you break this craziness that we're seeming to run into, that office, if everything we say about it is true, then the president should not be allowed to appoint that person. The American people should rightly choose that individual.
Yeah, there's got to be a check.
Represent our interest.
Yes.
To enforce the law on our behalf. To be independent of an asshole president who wants to use that power that office holds against the American people, when she cannot say and cannot acknowledge, and actually, Maya, say at one point, well, I was unaware, I did not know.
Well, we have the clip, actually.
Can we play that, please?
Yeah.
I want to ask you a factual question. Who won the 2020 presidential election?
Joe Biden is the president of the United States.
Ms. Bondi, you know that there is a difference between acknowledging it and, I can say that Donald Trump won the 2024 election. I may not like it, but I can say it. You cannot say who won the 2020 presidential election. it's disturbing that you can't give voice to that fact.
She should have just said, that's not what I asked. Like, it is so disturbing to me that
yeah. I mean, how does an American citizen who watched January 6th unfold on their television screens, blow by blow, and the fallout from that, see and watch a candidate, a nominee for Attorney General of the United States, unable to acknowledge that election that led to that insurrection was lost by the man who caused it. Was lost by, I mean, the senator was right when she said, hey, I can acknowledge Donald Trump won the 2024 election. I may not like it. In fact, didn't vote for him, but I can acknowledge the fact that he won. You can't even do that. That's how pathetic you are. You can't even do that. That's how partisan you are. And it's Americans looking at that are oblivious. They don't care. They're like, whatever.
Well, and that's, to me, let's be real. Everybody that's there is there because they're going to do exactly what Donald Trump or Elon Musk wants them to do.
Why you going down the Musk lane? See, there you go.
I got it. Like, he's gonna have an office. He's gonna, like, how many times do you think he's gonna peek into the Oval? Like, I feel like he's just gonna be popping in all the time.
He's under the desk. You don't have to peek into the Oval. He's under the desk. That's right. Donald Trump, we doing all right? Yeah, we're doing okay. Here we go.
Have an idea, sir? Like that?
You have an idea? Yeah.
Like,
put your hand in that drawer. Not.
It's a dark comedy that I actually probably would watch. I just don't want to live through.
That's right. That actually would be a good scene. You go, someone walks into the president, into the Oval Office, and they're sitting there in front of the president. Actually, they kind of sit to the side, and they're sitting and they're talking to the president, and all of a sudden they just hear this voice out of nowhere, ask him to tell you about, this. And you're like, Mr. President, excuse me? And the president's like, just give me a moment.
It's going to be like in Coming to America. It's like the royal penis is clean, Your Highness. Like,
he's looking under the desk. But the best part is that the president talking drops his pen in his hand, comes up under the desk with the pen, and gives it to him. Yeah,
Emmy award-winning drama.
That's what we're looking at, folks. This is not hard science.
No. To tie it all together, because we're wrapping up, but to tie it all together, we got to talk about the oligarchy a little bit more, because we've got Zuckerberg, we've got Elon Musk. I think it's important to address this kind of tech bro culture, MMA to radical right-wing pipeline. Because I've seen it with average people, very normal people I know go into MMA, come out of MMA with Mark Zuckerberg's haircut. Can we look at the clip?
For me, it's just, I think a lot of the corporate world is like pretty culturally neutered.
If
Who talks like that?
Neutered, you're the one that neutered it. You're the one that absolutely neutered it. You made it into this thing where all things are equal. That's how you neuter something. When you neuter something, you take away its essence, what it is. Mm-hmm. So you take away the value of free speech when you level up hate speech, white nationalist propaganda, neo-Nazism. When you level that up to the idea of freedom,
let's not forget. Well, and he goes on in this clip to talk about, like, toxic masculinity. He's like, masculinity is not toxic. I was like, yeah, I know. Toxic is the adjective. Like no one's saying masculinity inherently in itself is toxic. Nobody said that. And so for him to just expect everyone to just accept that premise that that's what's being said. And anyway, if that he's the boss of people. He's the CEO, like he's the boss of people. And like to have your boss talk, like Sheryl Sandberg, where are you with the lean in? Like what is it now? Like
He's a child who had an idea that grew into a multi-billion-dollar operation. And he never had to learn the idea of a word in the English language that a lot of people seem to have forgotten, and that's accountability. And they hide behind their billions, they hide behind their soft rhetoric. And now, as we see with these oligarchs who are all writing $1 million checks plus to the Trump inauguration, there you go, the big tech attending the inauguration, each one of them have not only gone down to Mar-a-Lago in various forms, literally and figuratively, to bend the knee. They have also started to bend the ass, and that's that is their reality now, and that's our reality too. I mean, they just that group. If I were in that group, I'd be saying, "Let's huddle up, boys." Who has the power here? Really? We total us all up. What are we afraid of? What exactly are we afraid of? Because the marketplace is our space. We don't need to do politics. We do markets, we do business, we do deals, we do economies. And we know that citizens out there who are our customers have expectations. That's our charge. Their hope is that Donald Trump will, through regulation or the lack thereof, give them free willy, right? They can go in any direction. They can go out to sea and just untouched, unfettered. Well, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Like, we'll find you. We will get on boats and sail out there.
You really think that just taking away the guardrail of for banks charging fees, to say now you can just charge whatever you want, that the American people will go, really? So now it's cost me $50 for a bounce check, or $100 for accessing my ATM. Or you think you're just going to be able to build your car any way you want, or that product that you're putting on the market, you're going to be able to not be accountable for it, blowing up off a child's fingers? You really think that's the space you're going to operate in? I don't know what they think is going to happen here. Donald Trump will take your $1 million and be very happy. Thank you very much. And tell me what you get for it. I mean, you're going to see this with this Doge bullshit. First off, Vivek, either is going to get punked out of position by Elon, who's already punked JD Vance. Oh, by the way, has anyone seen JD Vance? He's still in politics, right? He's still in politics.
He was busy trying to get that eyeliner off for his portrait. Like I think that was most. He was just.
What was his portrait for again?
This is their official portraits. I wish we had. I don't think we have them. The official portraits.
What did he do to require official?
Supposedly he's supposed to be the vice president. I don't know for sure. No one knows for sure.
I mean, it's weird. He started a company, make himself vice president of his own company. I don't understand. He's not president.
That'd be wild if he did that.
Wow. So that's what. So he's with, who's he with again? Does he work with Trump, or I'm confused? Because the only person I've seen with Donald Trump is Elon Musk. So I'm really confused. But anyway, that's just me. America, I don't know.
at the inauguration. We'll see if he makes it or if there'll be an official announcement that Musk is.
I think they just give him a piece of paper in the back room and say you're good. I don't understand, but anyway.
And a couple of crayons, just a couple of crayons, and he can just have fun on his own. Oh, it's going to be a wild.
Check yourself, JD.
Ride.
You're bleeding right now, brother. You're bleeding. You better check yourself. Oh my God, it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. You've got a lot of things out there that are going to land. I can just tell people right now, around 12:30 on Monday, America's course will change. There will be 200, 220, maybe 250 executive orders that will be signed or will have been signed by then President Trump that will fundamentally change the life for our immigrants, fundamentally change the life for those of us in politics and law and business. So I think we just need to get ready for that. And please, Lord, please, don't no one get up in my face and be surprised about any shit that comes out of this administration. Do not do it, because I told you I asked to read Project 2025 back in April. Told you that. You had all this time to read the 900 pages. Told you to do it. So please do not be surprised on Tuesday or or the Thursday after that or 6 months from now, because you can pick up that book and just go through it and just find the chapter and the verse where they told you that's what they're going to do. So there are no surprises here. There are no surprises. And I plead this to the media: get your heads out of your damn asses and be journalists, right? Stop worrying about your bottom line is the news. That's your bottom line. There are papers that have gone out of business for sure. I get it. I know how that plays out. But the journalism doesn't stop. Right?
Well, because if the journalism stops, the democracy stops, and we don't want that.
Maybe that should be the new masthead for the Washington Post. Because they definitely put democracy in darkness when they turned out the lights during the election. So
I was like, democracy dies in a billionaire's pocket, like deep down there with like lint, if they have lint. I don't. Is there billionaire lint? I don't know. I don't know if they have lint. Maybe they're lint-free people.
It's worth about $100,000. There's billionaire lint.
Yeah. No, this is our last weekend of relatively Project 2025 free life, and maybe there needs to be an audiobook, maybe it needs to be an app, maybe there needs to be a way for people to go through it very quickly now that it's here, because elections have consequences, y'all. Like Michael said, like we've been telling people. I've been screaming it for years. And I thought I sounded like, back then I was like, I don't want to scare people too much. But hey, like this shit's happening, and maybe I wish it. And why is Christopher Welker interviewing Omni? And here we are.
Here we are.
And here we fucking are. And here we are. So everybody's directive.
Let me just tell you, this guy right here over my left shoulder, that's my man. And that's my North Star politically, is what Lincoln and Frederick Douglass and others tried to do in founding a party that would be about the empowerment of every American, recognizing that every American have the words of the Constitution and the documents that animate it are as valuable to me as a Black man as it is to any white man in America. And how we play that out as we approach our 250th year matters more today than it probably did in 1854, because we know now so much more about ourselves. And I really, really hope the American people don't sleep on this. And and allow ourselves to lose sight of what this guy and so many others like him tried to do. They held a union together in the midst of one of the most difficult times. And it was fraught because it was physical. We were at a physical war. This isn't physical. Where we're at right now, this isn't physical. There are no guns on the street. There are no bombs bursting. There are no military lines. It's just you and me and our neighbors and our communities and how we look at each other and what we allow social media and our leaders to do to us. So get ready, folks. I don't hear any excuses. Like Maya said, game time.
Yeah, it is game time, and it's going to take that mental fortitude that Michael's talking about. So y'all take this weekend to take care of yourselves, please, because it is on.
Call your friend Tito if you need to. He's around the corner.
Yeah.
He'll come visit.
I'm staying alcohol free. I decided, I was like, given what's about to happen, if I started the drinking, who knows where I'm going to be come April. So
it's like by the end of January, I will be.
Everything's terrible. I can't handle it anymore. Like, that's where I'll be. And I don't want to be there. So, guys, I'm going to do all of my positive vices. And I hope you all do your positive vices, too, for me.
Do your positive vices, whatever they are.
And we'll be, God, Rick and I are going to be back next week after the thing happens. The thing. I'm calling the thing. The thing.
The thing brought to you by Cousin Ed.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael, thank you for being here. Obviously, come back anytime. And everyone else.
Hey, Rick, I kept the seat warm for you, baby. I'm leaving for you next. Pick up where I left off, right? That's all you have to do.
Awesome. All right. I'll see y'all all next week. Bye.